Bryan Mbeumo is becoming a serious problem for every team in the league. Unless you're connected to Manchester United, we're talking about goals, assists, flair, relentless pressing, and an engine that simply never stops. Add in the recent tactical tweak from Michael Carrick that has elevated his role, and you're looking at a player operating on a completely different level. This version of Mbeumo isn't just dangerous, it's frightening. In fact, this version of Bryan Mbeumo is fast becoming the biggest nightmare in the Premier League. He delivered again against Tottenham Hotspur, finishing off a brilliantly worked United corner routine to open the scoring. That was the first of 2 goals on the afternoon, sealing a 4th consecutive league victory for Carrick's side. As it stands, United are the most informed team in the league, and Mbeumo's form is a huge reason why. The numbers speak for themselves. 9 league goals so far might look respectable at first glance, but the context makes them extraordinary. Mbeumo isn't just scoring, he's delivering in the biggest moments. He opened the scoring in United's 2-1 win over Liverpool at Anfield. He struck first in the derby victory against Manchester City at Old Trafford. He grabbed the equalizer in the comeback win over Arsenal, and he scored both home and away against Spurs. Among the traditional top 6, the only side he hasn't found the net against yet is Chelsea. Even that barely captures just how influential he's been this season, because it's not just about the goals. No matter the situation United find themselves in, whether dominating games or grinding out results, Mbeumo continues to stand out. It wasn't long ago that Ruben Amorim was in charge at United, barely 2 months back. Despite the controversy surrounding his tenure and the tactical clashes with certain players, the idea around Mbeumo was always clear.
Yeah, it was like impressive the way he stretched the team, the quality that he has in the first touch, and you can feel it that we are a different team because when we win the ball we have one guy stretching the team.
That clip right there perfectly sums up what Bryan Mbeumo brought to that United side under Ruben Amorim. Amorim always described him as the player tasked with stretching opposition backlines. And that's exactly what he did. He recorded the 5th highest top speed in the Premier League this season at 36.3 kilometers per hour. But it wasn't just about isolated bursts of pace. The real value, as Amorim emphasized, was his constant movement to stretch defenses. As of now, he's made the 3rd most sprints in the league, behind Brighton and Hove Albion's Yankuba Minna and AFC Bournemouth's Old Trafford. Even though Mbeumo was one of Manchester United's standout performers under Amorim, there was still an issue, not with the player, but with the system itself. Because of how United's attack was structured at the time, Mbeumo never quite had an ideal role. On paper, he started from the right wing, but Amorim's setup relied heavily on specific partnerships and positional combinations. It never truly felt like Mbeumo and Ahmad could coexist effectively on the same flank as right winger and right wing back. Both players naturally wanted to cut inside onto their stronger left foot and attack goal, which often led to congestion rather than fluidity. Everything changed once Michael Carrick stepped in. One key tactical adjustment has completely reignited Mbeumo, arguably making him even more dangerous than before. Carrick shifted his position ahead of the Manchester derby. It wasn't an entirely new role for Mbeumo. He had experience playing as a false 9 at Brentford. But within Carrick's vision for United, the impact has been massive. To understand Mbeumo's current form, you have to understand Carrick's plan. Build a system that maximizes the strengths of the players he already has. Carrick moved away from Amorim's 3-4-2-1 and switched to a 4-2-3-1. 2 holding midfielders. A fluid, dynamic front 4. Within this setup, Mbeumo's role has become a fusion of what he did under Amorim and what Carrick now demands. As a false 9, he still uses his pace to lead the press and attack defensive lines. But now he has the freedom to occupy multiple attacking positions. He's no longer restricted to cutting in from the right. He can drop deep, link play, drift wide, or explode forward on the counter. The numbers reflect this transformation. He's made more off-the-ball runs than any other player in the league this season. Giving him a free roaming role has been a masterstroke from Carrick. Playing as a false nine also allows for more combination play and attack, instead of a traditional striker fixed up front. The system uses a connector, someone who links midfield and attack while still posing a scoring threat. Mbeumo isn't just a finisher. He's an intelligent footballer whose movement and decision-making elevate the entire frontline. Combine that intelligence with his relentless work rate and stamina, and he becomes the perfect fit for this system. Carrick's aim is to build connections across every line of the pitch, from defense to attack, and Mbeumo is central to that vision, with Bruno Fernandes providing world-class creativity, and players like Amad Diallo and Matheus Cunha adding energy and technical quality. United now have a front unit filled with players who contribute both on and off the ball. This isn't about Mbeumo being the sole focal point. It's about him being part of a dynamic attacking network that creates constant movement, combinations, and goal-scoring opportunities. And with his current trajectory, it's becoming increasingly clear why United reportedly spent £71 million to bring him in.
Mbeumo coming in, £70 million.
I'm glad he has, and I'm glad it's done, and I'm glad it's done in time.
Have you ever overpaid?
I don't think so. When you consider some of the money that's going for other players, and you consider the fact that, you know, he had a very, very strong season in the Premier League, he's been consistent in the Premier League for 2 or 3 seasons.
At the beginning, there were plenty of doubts. When Manchester United finally agreed to pay the fee, it felt like another one of those big money signings that hadn't worked out for the club in recent years. But with Bryan Mbeumo, this form isn't some random purple patch. We're talking about one of the most consistent and productive forwards in the Premier League over the last few seasons. He scored 20 league goals last year, a remarkable achievement that saw him finish joint 4th in the scoring charts. When you look at the names above him, Mohamed Salah, Alexander Isak, and Erling Haaland, it's clear he placed himself in elite company. He also registered 7 assists that season, taking his total to 27 goal contributions. Only Salah and Isak managed more. Even more impressive, just 5 of his 20 goals came from penalties, meaning 15 were non-penalty strikes, a true reflection of his attacking quality. The key point here is simple. What he's doing at United isn't new. This isn't a one-season wonder or a sudden explosion. It's been a steady rise ever since he arrived in the Premier League with Brentford. 4 goals in his first season, 9 the next, 9 again the year after, then 20 last season. That's a clear upward trajectory, a player who has grown year by year, adapted to English football, and proven his quality consistently. Now he's taking that next step at United and delivering exactly what the club envisioned. At the start of the season, much of the focus was on United's marquee striker signing Benjamin Sesko. He was seen as the main focal point in attack. But Mbeumo has added a completely different dimension, an extra edge that gives United tactical flexibility. Against teams that sit high, he's the perfect outlet to exploit space in behind. Against deeper blocks that require patience and wide movement, he can drift out and operate on the flanks. His versatility was on full display against Tottenham Hotspur. Carrick understood the matchup, up against one of the fastest defenders in world football. Mickey van de Ven, playing Mbeumo centrally, would have been a losing battle. Instead, he deployed him on the left wing, a role previously filled by Patrick Dorgu before his injury against Arsenal. The result? Another top-class performance. 53 touches, 13 carries, 6 touches in the box, 5 defensive contributions, 81% passing accuracy, 3 shots, 1 goal. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the question becomes clear. How do you stop a forward who can play across every position in attack and still deliver? He's scored as a false nine, performed as a right winger, delivered from the left against Spurs. That's what makes him a complete attacking threat. At just 26, he's entering what should be the prime years of his career. United haven't just signed a top performer, they've signed a player who could still improve significantly if he maintains this trajectory. The years between 27 and 32 could be devastating for the rest of the league. And while it may sound bold right now, there's every reason to believe the Premier League might not have to wait long for another dominant left-footed African superstar after Mohamed Salah. He's already here. And he's already wearing red.